Lunch Money Lambert, Jeff Malott. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Yeah. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Hey. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation, where we talk about fishing and competition. It's your boy Ox Pippin, aka Ox Fishing. Don't come over here tripping. Hey, hope you enjoy the show. Jeff Malott, Lunch Money Lambert, Lego. Hey, welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Hey, welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to KBN Live on this Tuesday night.
Have you opened the group chat to see what Jay Wallen just sent us?
No.
Okay. While you do that, I'll go ahead and move on with the intro. Welcome to tonight's episode, where we're going to cover how to rigging questions with Jonathan, who may be muffled. You can tell us. It's fair feedback, and then Romel, who left the scene. So we're gonna have a great time tonight. I have eaten crab legs within the last hour or so, and some peel and eat shrimp. So we're smelling fresh. We're ready to go.
Smell it through the mic there. This better be good. N8 says you're pulling me away from the debate of America's finest. So if y'all joining us from the debate. This debate, much like the WNBA, I will only watch the highlights later. I will not actually watch the whole thing. So I think most people are kind of set. So if you're joining us instead of doing that, we appreciate you, because this will be more informative. That's for sure.
That is 100% sure. I doubt these guys will dance around the questions.
That's right. We've got like Ryan already said, we've got Eco Fishing Shop's wizard Jonathan Dominguez in here to talk about rigging, and then we've had Romel on as a guest, as a calling guest several times, and he's widely known as one of the magicians out there in rigging up kayaks.
As the wizard.
The wizard.
He's putting Alexas on voice-activated kayaks, and he's like the Elon Musk of kayak fishing.
There we go. So we've got two great ones in here tonight. They're going to be here and share their knowledge, answer your questions, whatever you have regarding rigging up your boat, whatever brand it may be. So it should be fun. What went down in the week? We thought we were going to have a big announcement tonight. We're pushing it off to next week. We can't give you any info other than it has to do with Bassmaster, but we'll talk about it next Monday, right?
So there's obviously a lot of red tape and official releases that go on with Bassmaster. We do have some hot news coming, probably within the next day or two, but we will have the man Steve O on at some point, hopefully maybe Monday. I'm thinking maybe Monday we'll get him on to kind of lay it out, and then do like a Q&A feedback session on Bassmaster, how you feel like the series has gone this year, what do you feel like could be improved on, maybe rule change suggestions, that kind of thing moving forward.
Yeah. Matt Collins says Bassmaster going DP. You never know, man. You never know what's going on out there. They're doing some wild rules on the boater side right now. So who knows what could happen.
And then they're taking back rules on the
Yeah, what about that, man? Is that just the big time blowback from social media caused that, or what?
I knew they messed up when I saw Jordan Lee post about it, because Jordan never weighs in on anything. He's super diplomatic and professional about everything. When he weighed in on that kind of ability to buy info until January 1st, I think that speaks volumes when a two-time classic champ weighs in on stuff like that.
I saw former guest Jason Kahn saying he did not sell waypoints to anybody.
He did not. He did offer to. He did not. No, Kahn's a trip, man. But Kahn is also against forward-facing sonar, and he literally uses forward-facing sonar every day for his business. So that should speak volumes as to what he feels like the impact is on the tournament scene with that deal.
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably feel that way. We did some polls. I did a poll on Twitter. I did a poll on our KBN Facebook page asking, should forward facing be allowed in tournaments after our show last week? I wanted to see the nation's input. On Facebook, it was almost 50-50. It was slightly above. Yes, it should be allowed. It was like 48% shouldn't, 52% should. On Twitter, it was overwhelmingly no, it shouldn't even be in kayak tournaments. And it was like 78-22.
Again, I think kayak tournaments it's a little bit different because you can't cover the entire lake just chasing a single fish all day. But I mean, obviously it has an impact. It's going to have an impact. I think at some point, as this moves forward and maybe we get like an elite level of kayak fishing, maybe take it out of that, but we'll see. Yeah.
So that was fun talk. And I know the rules don't always translate from the quote major league, not Major League Fishing, but the top leagues, whatever they are at the time, down to bass clubs or kayak fishing or anything like that. But they do relate sometimes. So be curious to see how it all
we are but children in this game.
That's right. What's the old quote in its infancy, Ryan? Infancy?
Yeah. We're just infants out here, just bumping our head on tables and
just crawling
still
around.
Breastfeeding, if you will.
Something like that.
I wish we could clip Romel's reaction right now, just to save that for future clips.
We appreciate both these guys coming on tonight. I wanted to do this show in like a week or two, and then when Bassmaster had to back out because their press release and all that wasn't ready yet, I asked them, hit them up. We got them in here tonight, so we appreciate both of them, and we'll get them in here in just a minute.
And we didn't bail on you guys. We didn't kick you to the curb because you're the most important.
That's right.
So know that.
That's right. So we'll get them in here in just a second. Of course, the shout out to sponsors that make the show possible. Number one, Eco Fishing. Jonathan from Eco Fishing is in here tonight to help with this, but Eco Fishing is the presenting sponsor of the show. EcoFishingShop.com. We appreciate all they do in the community. They're big in the tournament angler scene. They really made a push this year with growing their pro team. They support tournaments in the region. They have the Big Bass 250s coming up. We're going to have to ask Jonathan about that too. But EcoFishingShop.com. If you need anything kayak fishing related, need a new boat, something on your boat, that's where you go. Go get it. Because they support the nation. They support us, so let's support them, right? Western Son Vodka. We're going to try to load up a couple cases full of that and bring it up to the Big Bass 250 for the after party, the pre-party, the during party, all
the
that,
whole
right?
party. Yeah, I'm not really looking forward to the fishing parts.
Yeah.
So I'll make up for it on the before and after.
There we go. And then Pro God Lithium, of course, also in Mizzou. Pro God Lithium, the official battery of KB Nation. We appreciate them. I had the graphic from last week for Revo pulled up, and we did that last week. What are we going to give away tonight?
Let's give away Z-Man, because then I'll be two Seagars and two Z-Men, and then we can get those shipped out. Yep.
Z-Men? All right.
Z-Men.
Doing Z-Man tonight, everybody. So you know what you got to do for that is like and share on Facebook, like and comment on the YouTubes.
And don't try to jump the hashtag, because we're going to come up with something extra good for this one.
We're going extra, as the kids say. All right, let's get our guests in here. Hey,
There
Jonathan Romel.
There we go.
What's up?
What's up, guys? How are you all?
Good, man. We are going to go ahead. Ryan.
Go ahead. No, proceed.
No,
You first. You first. You're better.
Let me holler at I'm going to holler at the folks watching. We're going to take your questions out of the comments regarding rigging your kayaks, powering your kayaks, anything like that. I will star them up, save them up, and we'll get them to these guys. But first, Ryan, I know you had a question.
Jonathan,
yeah.
Can I get a decked kit from behind you? I need a decked kit for my truck. So can we do that?
Yeah, absolutely, man. We'll set you up. We sell the toolboxes, and then we also do the drawer system. I actually put one in my truck, and I mean, they're sweet. It's nice to have that stuff stored in there and not in the back of my back seat anymore. So yeah, absolutely, man.
I need the drawers for sure.
Yes.
I'm all about them drawers, baby.
They're money, man. I love mine.
I got to get that. Romel, is that where you sell Newports from? Is that vending machine behind you?
They just pop out and just like press a button.
I
shoot
love
it out.
that. I love that.
No, I am at Newport HQ. Yeah, for sure.
I was wondering. You popped on, and I was like, "Man, this looks like a bit of a studio that you have set up there behind you."
This is actually my. We do like training for like rep groups and CS and whatnot here. So this is like Newport Academy / my office. So
What
I
boat is that on the stand back there?
that is a PWR 129.
Okay.
Yeah.
When are you getting that big girl bona fide out there?
Soon, I think.
Soon.
Yeah.
I want to see one of those. I want to see one of those in real life. I'm very inclined. Toward
Well, if
that
you would have
large
made it out to
platform.
ICAST, you would have seen it.
Brother, I didn't want to catch COVID. I'm just kidding. I didn't want to stand on concrete for freaking 4 days. It's hard to trick me back into ICAST. I've seen it once.
Yeah,
I've seen it 3 times.
My man's got a reconstructed Achilles. He can't be on concrete for 4 days.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Looking out.
Reconstruction. It's bionic.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm bionic. All right. When they start growing new livers, I'm gonna sign up for one of those. If Newport makes a liver, put me on the list.
3D printer, man. 3D
All right,
print
all
the
right.
liver right up.
You'd be quite amazed what they can 3D print nowadays. That's for sure.
Insane. Before we get into these questions from the folks, I've got a few for you as well. Jonathan, can you give us any kind of update on the Big Bass 250? What's going on up there with Eco?
Yeah, man, we're going in our 3rd year, excited about it. And I was just looking at, I got numbers pulled up right now. So this year we did a little different. Like we were offering $100 deposit and then paying the rest down the week of the tournament. So that way that, $250, some people that might be a lot of money for a tournament, totally get it. So we're doing that. So we've got about 40 people signed up between paid in full and their deposits. The other thing we're running right now is we've got the kayak cushions.
Ooh,
so if you get signed up by now and the 30th of this month, you get a free one of these. We'll have them here. We've already have them all here. So when you show up, register, check in, all that, we'll hand you one of those. But yeah, we're excited about it. Already, hearing back from vendors and whatnot. I know for sure we've got one kayak right now, which is exciting. So hopefully, once those vendors start committing and everything, we'll start getting pumped out everything on our social media, getting all that stuff announced. But no, excited about it. We're actually going to be at the same venue this year, so make it easy on everybody. We'll still do the check-in here on Friday. But no, man, really excited about it. We got a really good response from all our anglers. We got a good response from all our vendors. So it's really, I think this year we'll really see some numbers. So I think last year this time we were only like 15, 20. So to have twice as much of that, I honestly think we can hit that 250 mark. So we're excited about it.
Yeah, man, we want to help you get there. As Ryan and I talked about that as soon as we partnered with y'all a year ago. It's been almost a year, believe it or not. We want to help pump those numbers up. Somebody asked a question. They said if they did the $100 deposit a couple months ago, can they pay it now, or do they have to wait until the week of pay the rest?
No, absolutely. What we can do is just call into either their customer service number or call the storefront here. And what we'll do is we'll just, like, I had a guy today. He's like, I paid the $100, but I want to pay it all. I'm like, cool. So we'll just email you an invoice, and then it'll take you back to our website, and you can pay the balance of that at any point. So, like, if you don't do it like Friday, I think it's gonna an auto kind of deal set up already. So if you don't pay it, you should be fine. But if you want to pay the rest of it off, early, just holler at us. Like I said, we'll send you the invoice for the balance, and then you can be paid in full. If you paid the $100 deposit, you won't get the tournament password yet. So once you're paid in full is when we send you that email with the tournament passport to go over to Tourney X and get on the leaderboard. So I think we had 17 guys on the leaderboard that's paid in full. And then, like I said, we've got about 40 guys and gals signed up for deposits and the paid in full.
And KBN is going to do a friendly a friendly cash cornhole tournament, and we are sponsoring some live music. We have my boy Little Skinny straight out of Nashville, Arkansas, coming up to play for you guys. So we are bringing the entertainment. You bring your fishing poles.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't be afraid of Lake of the Ozarks too. Come October, it's tons of locals. Most of them are cruising their pontoon during the day. It's not crazy Lake of the Ozarks. There's a lot of sneaky spots, whether there's paid ramps or public ramps that you can get into some water. I don't get to fish it, so I'll gladly give you some of mine and where I know.
Let's talk.
Tell you where they're at. but that's that's all about it. But just we're excited. Like it's really cool. Like last year we had guys that never fished a tournament, like, and just come into this and had a great time. And then you get the other guys that are fishing every weekend. So it's really cool to see everybody come out and enjoy a good time.
Do you have any spots where the fish start biting at like 9:30 or 10 a.m.?
I cannot.
I'm asking, I'm asking for a friend. I don't know. I don't know how it'll go, but I think I do.
I'm sure there's a couple.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's fair.
I think if they ever put a national event there, Jonathan, and had to use how they drop the waypoints for approved ramps now, I think they would get some sort of carpal tunnel from dropping all the spots because there's so many. I don't know if there is another lake with that many access points. Am I crazy?
Well, the hard part is there's only a handful of Army, the core ramps. There's only a handful of those, but there's so many ramps that businesses have, a dock building company or, there's a community ramp that puts a pay box there. So there is literally so many sneaky spots. And then there's tons of spots that you can get on the river and, literally go up the river. Cause as long as you launch within bounds, it's listed on our Tourney X thing, you can go upriver as far as you want. So, there's tons of main lake, there's side pockets. If we'll have the Big Bass Bash here, the boat side 3 weeks before us, and they'll tell you where they're wearing those fish in. And, if you know those spots or know ramps close to that, you can literally go fish for those release fish. So, just kind of food for thought, if you're seeing those numbers, a couple weeks before our tournament, that might tell you, how's fishing been,
Yeah. Good stuff.
Do they check the boxes at the pay ramp so they actually tow you or ticket you? Do you know up there? Do you have a lot of people that launch there and don't pay much?
Most of the time you'll get your vehicle towed. So you'll know pretty quick. It's not one of those things where they're gonna, but they'll let you know pretty quick when you get back and your truck's not there. Yeah.
All right. So Big Bass 250, get signed up. It's gonna be a great event. Ryan and I'll be there. It's close to home, so I'll definitely be there. It's gonna be a fun one, man. But we're here tonight to talk kayak rigging. We've got a few questions already started up. Both of y'all are well known for being great at this. I know Eco offers a great service if you're in-house, and I know when we had Travis on, he talked about you'll even call folks and walk them through if they buy a boat from Eco. So good stuff there, even from afar. But we've got a few questions. But first, let me ask you both this, and either one can go first. What are the biggest mistakes you see, or the biggest mistake that you see people do when they start to rig a boat out DIY?
Ooh, I'll let Jonathan go first on this one.
Romel's like, I'm still saving up. I got to get ready.
Or even stuff that you've had to talk them out of, like, hey, why don't we do this first or not do that? What's the biggest miss folks usually do?
We see a lot of here at the shop, like, hey, I want a trolling motor on the front of there. Well, they look at the price of the trolling motor, it's like, well, I can afford that, but you're going to need a bracket, you're going to need wiring, you're going to need a battery, you're going to probably need a circuit breaker. You need the right gauge wire. A lot of that is just little stuff that people don't think about in the bigger picture. To me, you get a lot. Anybody can rig up a fish finder and this other stuff, but it's kind of like going through XYZ, and a lot of these guys, learn on their own. That's how I started doing it. It's just messing up, screwing up, and learning.
It's just plastic, baby.
No, for sure. It can all be fixed. All can be changed. So it's one of those things like looking at the bigger picture and having somebody walk you through start to finish.
Romel, what would you say the biggest mistake is? Buying a Vibe?
Ooh. I think by far, probably weight capacity. By far.
Because of the size of the anglers, or because they put too much stuff in there?
Just the amount of gear all these guys want to put on their kayaks now. It's like, it's interesting. I watch, obviously the trends and you got these big old black packs, the 16x16s and the track packs and all this. And I seen a guy that had one 16x16, one 13x13, 8 track packs on the gunnels, one underneath, one by his, 2 by his feet. And I'm like, how much storage space do you need? But then you start looking at it as these, it's the same thing. When you start talking about its power to weight, it's weight ratio. So it's you overload these boats. They don't float. They don't operate like they're supposed to. And it becomes, honestly, sometimes it becomes a danger too. It's dangerous.
Do you see it more in like losing stability or taking on water over the bow, or like what do you feel like the biggest dangers are when they do overload them?
It's all fun and games when that water is nice and flat and calm. But once it gets a little rough out there, it becomes a completely different ballgame. And I think what happens is that you tend to, like, especially the guys now, we have like, dual graphs and everything, like ton of weight above the gunnels, that becomes a pendulum, right? So anytime you have any weight above center of gravity and that changes, once you start rocking, that pendulum starts to swing, that weight makes a difference. So I think a lot of it has to do with trim and really understanding, like, that's lost art, how to trim out your boat, like, to really understand, like, if you're running, I think there was a question on there I saw about what's the best spot for running a 3650 on a rear motor. I'm like, it's definitely not all the way in the back, that's for sure. It's just trim your boat out, like, really understand, like, how in what situations your boat performs the best. Really understand what your boat's capacity is too. I hate to say it, it sucks sometimes, but like I'll run into guys that are, I mean, we're talking big guys. We're talking like, 6'5", 6'6", 320 pounds. Like, we're talking like big dudes that want to get on kayaks. And, honestly, like, it's okay to say, maybe that's not for you, because sometimes I know, let's be real. Let's be honest. Like, what are you going to do if you fall out, like, of your kayak? Like, what are you going to do? You're pushing 350 and you're shaped like, an egg, right?
There's actually videos on the internet of that very thing happening.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And I'm not saying that to, body shame or anything, but I mean, that's real. That's reality.
Yeah,
It's like,
big ass on the bank, boy.
yeah, I mean, or go buy, I hate saying it, go buy a John boat. Like, you'll be more comfortable there. I hate it. I run into it all the time. Like, I have guys that will have that one buddy that's just not built for a kayak, like top heavy as heck, wants to sit up high like all his other buddies that weigh $150, and when you sit down and you just feel absolutely uncomfortable, like you can't move or else you're gonna fall out, like, you're in the wrong place. Like, it's just, let's be honest here. So I mean, it sucks, but it just.
I think Randy wins comment of the night, and I don't know where we're going from here. But if you want a DP, you got to drop LBs. You can't argue with the facts,
What's the old Tommy Boy quote? Big
That guy in a little coat.
That's right, in a little boat.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I hate it. I absolutely hate it. But I mean, it's facts, honestly. Sorry. I just, there's at some point, I hate saying it, there's a tipping point. There's a tipping point here. And like, there is a tipping point for sure in a kayak.
Yeah.
So,
Here we are. Yeah. And Frank, seriously, I mean, Romel's being dead serious. It can be a safety issue. Everybody, please stay safe out there and know your limits. Know your boat and your limits, right?
And seriously, talking about dual motors, that's one of the things that Steve-O's brought up several times is if a series did go to dual motors, you're kind of just setting yourself up for overloading kayaks. Because when you're running these heavy batteries to run your stern-mounted motor and your bow-mounted motor, plus your tackle, plus the weight of the angler, it's very rare, in my opinion, that you're going to be under the weight capacity of the vessel. Like, I mean, you have to take all that into account. And I know, some anglers, Eric Siddiqui being one, he'll carry like 200 pounds of soft plastics in a garbage bag in the front of his boat. Like, you have to take all that stuff into account, because then you're running the risk. If you've ever taken on water inside the hull of your kayak when it's choppy out, you know what that feeling is when it's not stable. That's exactly what you're doing when you're overloading the kayak with batteries and tackle. Like, you're already there. So if you take any water in, you're much worse off, and you're probably going down.
Yeah. I mean, there are kayaks now. Dude, let's be real. Like our kayaks that are coming out now are getting bigger and like more like floating platforms. So I mean, there are kayaks out there that can take the big guys, and that's what the new canoes, the Titan X's, of course. You got the XTR 130 coming out. You got those are all like docks,
Yeah.
like floating platforms. Like they're literally built for that. But don't go expecting to win no boat race because you're not. But I mean, but that's I mean we're building them that way now to kind of take up that. But somebody like me, I mean, we've been kayaking for a long time. I like sporty boats.
Yeah.
I like boats that are fast. I like to motorboat your ass down to your spot. It's
Yeah.
like I
Love motorboat.
love it. Yeah. Oh yeah. Love it.
TJ Atkins.
Motorboating.
Yeah, look here. TJ says 6 foot, 315, running a bow mountain on Titan 12.5, and that's what Romel's just saying. They're making boats now for all shapes and sizes, if you will. That boat is not made for speed or for maneuverability, right? But it will float, and it's not going to be tippy no matter what you load up there on it.
But it will.
Oh
float.
God, yeah, you're falling out before that thing flips
yeah.
over. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, we've said it before on here. Most of the time, especially a lot of newer folks, they are bass fishermen. They're not kayakers. They just want to fish. So if you can get a boat for them that's comfortable, so they can fish comfortably, that's all that matters, right?
100%. Yeah. Do your research. Go demo.
Yeah, I think the point of that is don't buy like a Wilderness Tarpon 140 if you're 6'8", 380 pounds and think it's going to be safe. Go get a big boat. If you're a big dude, be proud of that. Go get a big boat. You'll be fine. Let's see. We got some questions ready to go, Ryan. I think
we do. We have 5, roughly.
Look here.
No,
this one's got your name on it.
It does.
How you like the Newport on the autopilot? Might need Jonathan to rig one up for me.
I like the autopilot with the Newport because simply it cuts through grass better. That was my biggest thing on Guntersville is there was a ton of eelgrass that had broken loose off the bottom, and there was huge mats of eelgrass. And day one of the Guntersville Bassmaster, I ran the factory Minn Kota, and I was cleaning eelgrass off of it the whole day. And when it gets eelgrass on it, it goes super slow, and it frustrated me a lot. So the second day I switched and ran my Newport. The only thing that I would suggest is to rig up maybe some kind of handle style steering on that. Even though it's offset, the boat still performs great. It still runs really well speed wise. I love the stability of the autopilot, and it's a completely open deck in front of you. I like that part, but like I see Tim Percy in the comments, like rig up a Tim Percy steering system on there, for instance, and that'll give you that much more control. So you're not having to pull out a paddle and make micro adjustments and mess around like that. But that being said, even the factory rudder on the autopilot steers it pretty well when you're at speed. But when you're, kind of slow or tight in those situations near docks or something, you want to have the ability to turn that motor.
Oh, that's right, because that motor would be offset because it has the
offset
rudder
on the right
center.
side. Yep.
And go into that a little bit, Jonathan, because I've considered putting a Newport on my PDL 120, which also has the offset location for that, just like the autopilot. How does that go? Does it work fine being offset like that? What kind of modifications do you have to do?
So typically you're having to lock that. If you're not running a steering system, you're going to have to lock that, the Newport where it's going to go straight. So you got to, do that if you're not going to do a steering system on that. I've got the Tim Percy one. I just put that on my Hobie. I've been really impressed with that because you do get so much better turning. If you're wanting to make, sharper turns, better turns versus just using the rudder and leaving it locked out. With the PDL, it's a little bit different because that bolt pattern sits off at like a 45 from the back of the boat, where the autopilot, it goes straight back. Now they're both for, technically for a power pole, but they all match up to that same bolt pattern of the Newport. So it makes it easy to install in there. But if you're going to do that, you're going to have to figure out a way to offset. Like I would run steering on it because your turning is going to get better. I mean, that rudder on the PDL for pedaling is great, but it's so small too compared to like the autopilot. So it's just something to think about. Like that Tim Percy one, super easy to set up. He sends everything with you that you need. Literally hook it up. Of course, if you're anal about stuff. You can upgrade stuff and make stuff better, but like it's what you need. It's going to get you going. And again, it depends on though it's the 180 or the 300. That plays a big factor in that. I mean, that the 300 is great and it flies. But like that 180 is a little bit more controllable as far as like, cruising speeds. So I mean, and I guess ultimately too, if you wanted to run the Newport full time, you could, find a way to install that Newport, take off the rudder, and then use the existing steering cables as well, and have foot control steering, which is pretty slick on a Newport. Because then you can, I mean, literally you could take that pedal drive out and go do some rivers and still have a motor on there and, go up rivers. So definitely options there available. It's just how you're going to set it up and what's going to work best for you.
I'm surprised you haven't done the just pull the rudder and did the center mount, Ryan, on your.
I actually thought about that, to be honest with you. I thought about going with just a foot controlled steering on the Newport.
Oh, dude, yeah, all day, dude. Like the thing is, though, I think Trey over at Innovative Sportsman, I think he made a rudder insert for the steering drum or whatever I think it was for the Jorquito, but it would fit the Newport as well, so you could swap. So if you were running, you didn't want to run your motor, you pull that and you put this rudder in. It retracts and drops like normal, and you still have your foot steering.
That'd be close, because that's kind of where I was at. Was like,
yeah,
I want to have foot steering, obviously, because the pegs are already there, on the autopilot. But then you have the offset motor. So do I want to give up my rudder, or do I want to continue to run the motor?
Yeah, if you did that setup, you could do both, because then you could just swap back and forth. Just order a motor drum from Newport and then just have a rudder ready and then just swap it when you want to run. That would be pretty clutch. And then make sure you get the new Big Adventure Wizard steering kit, the ball bearing.
The Wizard steering kit. Who's that named after, do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty damn cool.
Shameless plug.
No, shameless
Is
plug.
It voice activated? If it's not voice activated, I don't want it, bro.
Unfortunately, it's not. But man, we can only go so far so quickly. So, but that steering kit is really good. I'm actually really excited for people to get those, because it changes the feel completely. It's like a night and day difference on what most people are running now. So, but yeah, huge for sure.
I like it.
Yeah. All right, let's get to this Facebook question. Jacob Ruff over on Facebook. Best location for battery storage, 36 volt, 50 amp hour for a stern mount like an NK300 on a PA14. Tank well, under seat, somewhere else.
Under the seat, for sure.
Man, if the company made this low profile battery, it's yeah, like that. Yeah, if they made something like that, Jacob, there's your answer.
That was another question from Mr. Tim Percy himself. Are the Newport batteries going to be ready soon?
Yes,
they're in the vending machine, Tim. Just over Romel's right shoulder. There.
Let me go press the button, and we'll pop one out.
E6.
I have one. Yes, I have one underneath the seat of my Bonafide there. But yeah, I've been running that 3650 for quite some time. It's putting okay. So why? Let's go back to the question why. All of these kayaks are designed for that weight underneath there. Whether or not however you weigh, but that's gonna be the best place for extra weight to be. Because it's just like adding another 20 or 30 pounds to yourself. So as far as trimming out goes, that's hands down the best place, I think.
So you're not affecting the whole performance as much when you keep that center of gravity where it's supposed to be.
I mean, you can balance it out depending on what you carry. Let's say you carry a lot of gear up front. I still do sometimes. I used to put my kayaks on scales. So I have one scale in the front, one scale in the back. And then I load everything and try to get not 50-50, but you try to aim for. If I'm running a rear motor, I used to aim for 55-45. So a little bit more weight in the front, a little less weight in the back, so to keep the nose down. So It makes it, dude.
Tim said he's already got that extra 20 or 30 pounds.
Depends on what he had for breakfast, Ryan. Depends what he had for breakfast.
That's that bourbon, Tim. You're all right.
You know, as I've gotten older, yeah, you know, that extra 20 or 30 pounds seems to not go away. So, I mean, but yeah, I mean, that's where, you know, that's where I would go. So.
To follow that question up, Chris on YouTube, I think he said bow mount motor, ... Romel. Where would you put the battery for a bow mount, Jonathan or Romel? Answer that one.
Gosh.
Back?
Yeah, it has to. Yeah, it has to be.
Like that motor guide's, it's great up front. It's perfect. And of course they're getting, you know, whatever.
Hey, you know, yeah, exactly. You said it.
It's heavy. It's heavy. It's
40 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, so you're gonna have to offset that, or you're gonna be sitting on the front, and you're not gonna get. It goes back to Romel talking about trimming your boat. Like, if you're like, you know, cattywampus, like it's not gonna work as well as you want it to. So like, just think about that. Like, you know, offset that stuff as much as you can. There's no perfect spot. Everybody's different. Everybody, you know, some guys are super light tackle and throw it in their black pack, and they rock and roll like that. Other guys have too much tackle, so they want it underneath the seat. But it, you know. Find a way to balance that boat out get it to perform the best it can. You know, you'll be so much happier at that point.
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons with that autopilot. That was like the first thing I did though, was relocate that battery to behind the seat just to distribute that weight further back, especially if you're standing and fishing a lot. Using the spot-lock feature or just going from spot to spot while you're standing, like it's going to help you with speed, but it's going to help you stability wise too. Like you don't ever want to especially overload the front of a bow mount trolling motorboat. You know,
I always talk to guys about that. I have gentlemen that come to me and say, I want a bow mount. I'm like, are you sure? It's like everyone talks about the positive, nobody talks about the negatives of bow mounts. It's all fun and games once again when it's flat water, but once your kayak is doing jet ski things through waves, it becomes not fun
or
anymore.
Submarine things through waves.
Yeah, 100%. And the thing is that, you know, sometimes we get crazy with building brackets. We can put anything on anything that we want, theoretically, right? There's a will, there's a way. But I always ask the question is, like, just because we can doesn't mean we should. So, like, a lot of these kayaks that don't have a lot of volume in the nose, like, don't put a bow mount on it. Like look at it. I mean, really do your research. And like boats like these now, the PWRs and the Titans and all these boats are designed to have volume in the front. So it can take the extra 35 pounds of weight plus 5 pounds of mounting brackets and whatever other stuff you need to put it on there. That's just one like piece of the puzzle too. It's like, I always tell people, it's like, you have to realize, like, if you want to stow and deploy that thing, you got to be a little bit of agile there to do it. Like, it's not fun and games, you know. It's literally like, if you get vegetation up there and you can't clear it, like, definitely not fun.
Yeah, and that's where Old Town hit with the autopilot. And that's what I've always been worried about with those bow mount aftermarkets is, number one, if you hit something, where does it go? It doesn't break away, like the autopilot.
Well, Gene, there's videos of Gene.
I was gonna say, you go out of the boat. We've seen, we've seen that.
But tomato. I guess a lot of people. It's kind of like cell phones almost. It's like cultists. Some people love the bow mounts, and some people love the stern mounts. Some people love.
The bow mount is like the green text of kayak fishing.
Hush, Ryan.
Dude, I was bow mounting. I was bow mounting back in 2015 with my new canoes. Before I was that guy. Back then,
no, brother,
yeah,
we've watched it.
And like we've gone through the transitions, you know. It's like bow mount to me is only good for one thing: if I'm fishing offshore and I'm fishing deep. Like, and for me, I fish the delta. I'm fishing close quarters. I'm fishing shallow. I'm fishing, rivers and sloughs and whatnot. So, I could spot luck upriver, but I can also drop an anchor, or I can use my motor and foot steer and keep me in position.
Right.
So, it just depends on how you fish, where you fish.
I can see the offshore argument and also fishing around docks, like being able to stand up and just use the remote as you're flipping docks, going back and forth in between. Like it's clutch there. But like open water, big chop, like it's rough, and it eats that battery up too, because you're having to run the motor so high just to get you moving against the wind or against the chop that you end up with a dead battery trying to paddle back to the ramp.
Pushing's easier than pulling, right?
Usually, yeah.
It's amazing. It's really amazing how many people actually don't know how to control like their kayaks. Like kayak positioning, like basic, just kayak positioning. It amazes me. Like I was talking to a guy about anchor trolleys, like, and anchors. They're like, I don't know what that is. Like, that's the first thing I learned when I started kayaking is how to use an anchor trolley.
And you should learn when and where to use an anchor too. That's another big thing 100%. that'll get you wet in a hurry. Is if you anchor sideways in a moving river.
Yeah, definitely.
Which happens more often than you'd think.
Right.
Let's get to another question here. Max Lee, is the Old Town EPDL with NK180 on the back considered DP, dual power, or can it be considered single motor if you didn't have the battery for the EPDL? Getting deep on that, Max.
This sounds like a Steve-O and AJ question.
Hey, it's pedal assist. It's still a motor pedaling, moving the prop. It's like if you have the battery, I would say it's DP. Like, and you have a rear motor, it's DP.
Without the battery, it doesn't feel like the normal PDL either.
Yeah.
It feels different.
It has more friction,
You're not it's not that smooth. Like you're turning that motor ultimately. Like there's no, so it doesn't feel.
The motor doesn't decouple. So it doesn't disconnect. It just stays.
Correct. It's
engaged,
like just like the e-bikes. Like you can still pedal the e-bikes, but it's that when it kicks in. So you're still ultimately turning that motor. Yeah. So it doesn't feel like the normal smooth Old Town drive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's the ruling.
There's the ruling.
Battery out, not DP. Battery in, DP.
Yes.
It's correct. DP if the battery doesn't touch the boat.
But then again, like that weight, is it worth it to have that extra weight of that drive, and running the Newport?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that's probably the bigger question is what's the advantage you would gain? I guess if you didn't have steering and you just had it locked straight or something, like would having the pedal drive be, more of a pro for micro adjustments or something, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure, what the logic behind that would be.
You know what's funny is like I haven't even seen one of those in the wild.
EPDL?
Yeah.
Have you seen, what was the color scheme, Jeff? The fire tiger. Have you seen a fire tiger in the wild?
Nope, I haven't seen one of those in the wild either.
I have, brother, and you can see that son of a bitch from a long way away.
My man, my guy out of Florida I met down there on Possum Kingdom. I saw him from across the
lake. Yep. I saw him as well, actually. Yeah. From the other end of the lake.
Yeah, good dude there.
Felt those eyes looking at me, boy.
Hey, now he's up. Let's go over to Facebook for another question. TJ Atkins, Romel, I'm wondering what holder Greg Blanchard used on his Titan X for his net. I struggle with my net on mine. Do you know the answer to that?
Yes. So he's
yes, I do.
Yes, I do. He's using it's a Yak Attack net holder, but he's got it mounted.
Was it like one of the roto grips, or what was he?
Yeah, it's a roto grip. Yeah, it's you went through when we switched from single graph off the side to the dual graphs in the front. Like, definitely, you get used to something over the years. Your muscle memory kind of just dials into that. So once you change something that you're just having muscle memory to reach for, like where net position is or how a net like sticks out, it makes a difference, especially for somebody like Greg that fishes all the time and everything just is very instinctual at that point. Just so moving stuff and relocating like dual graphs and like that was tough, like to find, like you will run out of real estate so fast.
Where did you end up mounting it? Like on the dashboard, like the graph?
It's on the dashboard. Yeah, okay. It's actually underneath. So instead of on the top, it's actually on the bottom. So instead of dropping it over the top, it clips from underneath because of the hatch on the Titan is kind of funky. So it just the net didn't want to sit properly.
So he pulls it down and back?
Down and out. Yeah, down and back.
I got you.
It just, and that takes time to get used to too, instead of like just reaching up and pulling up for it. But like I always say, like we talk about, finding places for these things. You run out of rooms. Like you look at a kayak with nothing on it and you're like, oh yeah, I got tons of room for space to put all this stuff. Like, camera mounts and, butt boards and like truck packs and all this stuff. But like gunnel space is like premium, especially when you like want to carry like paddle, or you still, hopefully people still carry paddles. I do, but like, yeah, right. But you run out of space really fast, it's like, and then you got these, big old black packs with 10 rods on the back. And so the width of that doesn't really allow you to lay stuff horizontally a lot sometimes. So, it's just difficult. So yeah, I mean, it was a modified version of a rotogrip, basically. Yeah.
Very good. Got some more questions coming in. If you have any questions about rigging your kayaks, please drop them in and we'll try to catch them and get them on the screen for these gentlemen. This one was already somewhat answered, but we can go over it again. Anthony Lewis on Facebook: can weight of batteries and gear be evenly spread out, or should I put more weight in one area?
Spread out. Bounce. Yeah.
And depending on where your motor's mounted to, you have to take that part into account. If it's a stern mounted motor, is it gonna kind of raise the front of the kayak up as it's taken off? And kayaks don't necessarily plane out at all. Like they're not on pad at any point. So you have to keep that part in mind. You don't want to be like plowing water. If you're running a stern mount, you don't want to be, pushing into the water all the time. You want that nose to come up some, just so it's going to decrease the friction there. And correct me if I'm wrong, either of you two. But I don't think I ever have been. So
yeah, I think people underestimate how much tackle weighs. Yeah. Do you guys agree with me on that? Like, I think people underestimate that. Like, people have a 3,700 box of tungsten weights. It's like,
yeah, that's me.
Or half ounce or 6 boxes of
jigs.
1/2 ounce chatterbaits.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Chatterbaits, jigs, like everything. Like even soft plastics, dude. It's like, how many bags of Senkos do you actually need? It's like
just 17 of green pumpkin.
Right?
That's all you need.
Bulk pack.
Let's see here. What more? We've got another question from YouTube. Chris, multi-winner on our Facebook giveaways, Ryan. Chris.
Oh yeah, he's running a monopoly.
Yeah, he's had his part-time job winning stuff from us. What is the best type of marine wire to use in a kayak? You guys have a brand or type you're looking at there?
I use Anchor. Typically, if I'm being really picky, probably Anchor, ANCOR. They used to be available at like more like electrical distributors and stuff, but you can buy them on Amazon now. Pretty much anything that's copper tinned.
What about you, Jonathan?
Great. Yeah.
What are y'all running out there, Deco?
I really like the stuff that's, I guess, coated, or where it's got the red and the black, but it also has a protective coat on it that's run together. To me, like, if you are running live scope and all these other electronics as well, and it's going to like a motor, you can definitely get some interference from that stuff. That's why they tell you to run, your fish finder batteries on a separate battery than your trolling motor battery. I think that a lot plays. I don't know if we have a favorite brand, but like look up, the motor guide. You want to run a certain size wire for the distance you're running that wire to. So like you got to think about that as well. Like, are you getting enough power to that motor, or using wire that's not strong enough, and then you're always, burning stuff up. Like that's something to think about too. 8 gauge, 6 gauge wire. What do you actually need? But any of that stuff that's coated, because ultimately there's water in the kayak no matter what kayak it is. Like you want it to have that little bit of protection. We try and heat shrink everything. We try and.
That's what I was going to ask. How much more important are the connections than the wire itself?
Everybody's putting their control box or their, bump board, bus board in their inside their kayak. Like, so not only is that water in there on the bottom sitting where some of your cables may be running, but if you leave that kayak outside on the trailer on a hot day, all it's turning is, evaporating. Correct. Like, and that's coating on everything. So just that stuff to think about. If you can put an extra thing of heat shrink on there or, something like that just to help, it's going to go a long ways. On those plugins, if you got plugins inside your kayak, that diuretic grease, it's just going to help over time. If you're having power issues and whatnot, that's what you need to check is those plugs, those connections, see if there's corrosion, see if there's stuff like that. But like more than anything, it's like the right size of wire for if you're running on a PA14 from the rear all the way to the front, you're going to have a bigger push. But yeah, for real, Tim, solder, if you don't know how to solder, like it's well worth it. Those Anderson plugs, they're super easy to solder. You can probably do it with a heat gun and some solder and then put that wire in there. And then if you really want to crimp it, but heat shrink it, once you're done too. That goes a long way. But for sure, like if you can solder anything, that's huge. Crimping's great, but ultimately that wire either fails or breaks off. But if you can solder it, that goes a long ways.
Do you have anything to add to that, Romel?
When you talk about termination, so like the wire, Anchor wire, the marine gauge, marine wire is basically, it's got the overshield, just like Jonathan says. So there's tons of different brands out there. As far as like connections goes, it's kind of funny. But I kind of go back and forth on this. Like I used to say solder everything, but let's be honest, like I'm not soldering my LED lights. Like I'm just not. Like LED lights are so simple. Literally, I'm not soldering those. I'm sorry. If I'm doing it, I'm not soldering those. No, I'm using dielectric crimps. Like, so basically you can get butt splices, connectors with dielectric grease already in them from 3M. I'll use those all day, every day. For non-critical electronics, which like for LED lights, that crimp, there's not a lot of current going through there. Those things draw very little. Like there's no need to solder those. Like to me, I'm soldering my main battery terminals, all that stuff. But then again, like I've gone to hydraulic crimpers that you can buy at Harbor Freight, and those do a really excellent job if you select the right die to crimp it. Works just fine too. I used to crimp and solder, but at the end of the day, for me, it's like if it's a electronic device that requires good connectivity, like your graphs and whatnot, all that, like I'll solder those. But for lights and whatever other electronics that you want to put in there, like bilge pumps, or some people do, and I don't know, USB chargers for their GoPros, all that stuff, I'm not soldering that stuff. I'll be honest. Like, there's no point in soldering that stuff. That stuff's gonna probably fail. The component itself is probably gonna fail before your joint fails. As long as it's not sitting in water.
I put USB chargers in my PA, and they both
fail.
Shit the bucket within a year.
Yeah.
So
like my thing is if it's not sitting in water, if it's like up in your hull where it doesn't have contact, obviously there's still moisture in your hull, just use dielectric grease. There's stuff I used to when I was in the communication industry. It's called No-Ox. Go on Amazon, go buy it. It's non-oxidizing dielectric grease it's like got a non-oxidizing compound in it. Just slather the crap out of it and stick it on there.
There we go.
If it's not sitting in the water,
lube it up, stick it in. Got it. Check.
But if you are going to heat shrink, marine heat shrink with the glue on it, Harbor Freight has a kit for $3 that has every size you need. Like, go buy that kit. Yeah, you're done.
I feel like we're gonna have a plethora of pro riggers after this episode. So you guys are out of business.
I don't get to do it as much anymore, honestly, to tell you the truth. I mean, I'm just pretty busy with stuff.
I
do
would rather
stuff
pay
every now and
12
then,
people
but-
to rig my kayak than do it myself. I get too pissed off, and I do not have the patience for it.
Dude,
Like,
if you
it's
look-
worth every penny to have
If you look,
somebody else.
you look
rig
at
it.
my kayak, like people expect, like it's funny, like people go and like look at my kayak, and I think they're a little disappointed because my kayak
Because
is
you're not rigging
like,
it for a show.
No, I have literally 2 toggle switches on my boat. That's it. Like just regular switches. I don't have a fancy digital panel. Don't have any like aux powers and all that stuff. Literally 2 switches, and one switch is for my 360 light and my nav lights. And they're like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "When I'm using my 360 light, is when I'm going to use my nav lights. So I mean, I don't need them on a separate switch. Like." There's no point for me to have them on a separate switch. It's like so I don't. The other switch is for my live scope unit. That's it. Why why don't you have a switch for your graphs? They have power buttons on them. Like
Yeah, you can
why
turn
don't-
those on and off pretty easy, I hope.
Yeah.
Romel, we run a lot of yak power stuff because you can integrate that into one control system. If you've got like what control switches do you like that you want to put in there?
Oh gosh. Man, there's only been a few like really that kayak ones. So FPV Power had theirs. Yak Power's been around for a while. The only thing I don't like about the Yak Power stuff is if you have one individual circuit or if that module goes down, like the whole thing's done. Like you can't recover from that. So if you're at a tournament and let's say that box fails, like I can't do anything. So I build my own, honestly. Like
On my last kayak, I had an FPV box, and I thought I was crazy because my graphs wouldn't work, my USBs wouldn't work, the remote wouldn't work, nothing would work, and not a shot at FPV at all. But like it was the box, like that it shut down all of my power distribution. So that's something else to think about. Like I probably would not wire my graphs and stuff through that. Only because if you're looking at what you actually need to get through a tournament, it's not your USB chargers or your LED lights or any of the goofy stuff. But you do want to have a graph. Like especially if you're fishing offshore, like you want to have at least your waypoints to get through. So be cognizant of that when you're rigging out a kayak. What are kind of the necessary items and what are more of the luxury items to have working.
Yeah, I mean, I try to eliminate as many. Everything that I do, like honestly, I want the most direct connection as I can get. Like I don't want any boxes, I don't want any connectors, I don't want any splices. Like the more direct I can get, the better. But there's certain things that, like you said, like that you need on the switch, and there's things that you don't. Like it's really how it goes. But yeah, I mean, as far as switching goes, if I had to choose, I mean, I think I know a lot of people that run Yak Power, never had any issues. I just know maybe because I used them when they first came out, and I had two modules fail on me by chance. Maybe they've gotten better, but I just know, and I hate their SAE connectors that they include with those. It's like these things are gonna lie inside kayaks. You did all the work to seal the unit, but then you have these SAE connectors that aren't waterproof. Like what's the point in that? That sucks. Like at least FPV, they used barrel connectors that screw in that have an O-ring, so they sealed, right? There's so many connectors on the market. Like honestly, like the Deutsch connectors, like you can buy them pre-terminated already on Amazon. We want to talk about like wiring harnesses and stuff. Like I used to make my own wiring harnesses like all the time. Honestly, now I just buy the pre-made jumper cables with the Deutsch connectors on them, and it's like Legos. It's like they're already pre-terminated. They just click in. They have water seals. You can get them in different lengths, Y splits, triple splits. Like you just go buy them and just stick them all together, and you got a wiring harness. You're done. Like it works. Like it's just it's hard nowadays, try to be as efficient as possible. Amazon's great. I hate it, but Amazon's great. You can get all kinds of stuff on Amazon. Like that solves those issues. So, but yeah, if I had to choose, probably I don't know. There's couple companies out there, Ox Power and like that make the digital distribution blocks. A lot of good value there. They're like you can get a 4-channel one for $100. That's all you need 4. Like I question why you need 8 channels, 8 switches. Like why do you need 8 switches on a kayak? You don't. 4 is perfect. So Ox Power makes some nice ones. Those are cool. I'll do RGB and all the LED stuff too, all that fancy stuff. But I'll probably say the Ox Power stuff. I think it's good value.
What happened?
I don't know.
Sound like a dog rubbing against a cord. Does anyone have a dog in the room, Jeff?
No.
Not it. That was weird.
A few comments from the viewers here. Tim Percy, this isn't a question, more of a comment. Take the kayak out and use it a couple times to find out what you really need. That's a tip I used to give years ago when I first got into this to new people coming in. Hey, take it out empty first and figure out where you want to put stuff. You guys agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. We tell people at the shop, like, they'll get a kayak and like, what else do I need? I'm like, you need a life jacket and a paddle, and then just get on the water. Like,
Figure it
I
out.
can sell you 10 different accessories, and you're going to use 2 of them and be pissed off that you bought 8 of the things that you don't have. So, like, you can always come back. Like, we can figure that out later. Like, but get it on the water. Like, take it out empty. Take a couple rods. Like, don't go crazy, and figure out what you want.
It's funny. Like I'll go through. Like we got guys that come in. I want the Greg Blanchard install. Like, huh? I was like, you realize that's for Greg, right? And everybody's different. You might be left-handed. He's right-handed. And then they buy all this stuff, and probably 50% of it just ends up going off the kayak.
Yeah.
Like,
Jamie called a couple weeks ago, and he was like, hey, man, this guy called and said he wants your exact kayak set up. Are you trying to sell it to him? And I was like, nah, I'm not at all, but I can if I need to. If I need to.
Yeah.
Sure. It might not be for everybody. I don't know if you need that many cup holders in a kayak. Who knows?
Ryan, I could be way off base here, but I feel like some people just rig them out to look cool in the trailer because I don't know that it translates to.
That's why I rigged mine out. It wasn't to fish with, clearly.
Mine sits Sylvie. No. Actually, I'm not gonna lie. I have been fishing lately. I had it in here, but like I have been fishing lately, so it has been getting some use. Thank God.
What else we got, Jeff? Pick some nice ones out of the start comments here.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of questions remaining. Some of them are kind of troll questions. I think
I like those.
Yeah, Tyler asking any issues with cutting off catalytic converters off vehicles. I think he's talking about Lake of the Ozarks for the 250. If you're in Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, you always got to be on your toes for that. So it's just the way it is.
That's anywhere in the U.S., man. Like I went to go start. I have a GMC Safari project van, and I did it's got the 4-wheel drive conversion, lift kit, whatnot. And, I hadn't driven in a while, and I went outside in front of my house and I started the thing up, and I'm like, when did I get exhaust on this thing?
That thing's bumping, boy.
I was like, man, this sounds good. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, yeah, gone. I guess I shouldn't have put that lift kit on. Made it easy for him. So, yeah.
Let's see what else we got here. Bottom Line Outdoors. Moved from a Skeeter to a kayak. The hardest thing is finding companies that have the brackets you need, or you're stuck creating what you need. So when you guys run into that when you're rigging out boats, what's your do you have a couple companies you go to? Do you have a way to in-house manufacture something? What do you do when you need a bracket to solve a problem?
There are a bunch of them out there. Jonathan, what's your guys' go-to over there? There's so many.
I mean, a little bit of both. We made which we're having issues getting them because of manufacturing, but the Sasquatch bars as a dashboard, was one of those things. Like we had a guy that fished for us, and I said, hey, I need a crossbar because I didn't want to, I run the Hobie, I didn't want run another A-trail across there because those mounts suck on the A-trail, no matter what you do. So, I got with him and we, designed one and made one up. Catch is making one. I think Dugout's making one. It's, it's kind of that stuff. A lot of times you might be able to find parts and pieces of Yak Attack stuff to put something together and, make an amount for something else. Like, it's kind of nice about Yak Attack is a lot of their stuff are integrated into each other. And so, that's always an option. But yeah, for sure. I think that's part of why kayaking is so big, is because you can put all these motors and graphs on it, but you can also make your own mount, make your own, crate, your own black pack, make it your own. So absolutely. Yeah, for sure. It's tough sometimes finding the right mount, and you may go through one or two of them, but you may find something where, and I'm sure like, Tim Percy's in here. I'm sure he was like, I need this. Where do I get this? Well, he just made it, it's like, and I'm sure Romel does that too. It's nice to be able to do that. Of course we want to try and, being at Eco Fishing Shop, we want to have vendors and whatnot that can facilitate that, but sometimes, you're better off rigging something up at the time.
Back in the day, it was C-clamps and 2x4s. Mountain
That's what it is.
Zip ties, baby. If you ain't zip tying, you ain't kayak fishing, right?
It's kind of, kayaking at its core is still, it's DIY. That's just what it is. Like, and so as like brackets goes, there are companies out there that have made it easier. Of course, Yak Attack and has a ton of stuff. Railblaze is still out there. But as far as like mounting brackets goes, you got Yak Gadget, the guys, Innovative Sportsman, he makes some stuff, some plates and whatnot. You got One Objective. Yeah, those guys, they make adapter plates. There's other small guys that do a lot of stuff. And but I still tell guys, I'm like, dude, just go find some material and go get a hacksaw and just go at it, just I'm fortunate enough to have tools available to me and some know-how that I've learned off YouTube on how to like make and CNC parts. But I used to make a lot of parts by hand. Like, we have a store called Tap Plastics. I used to live at that place. Go buy Starboard and go buy one-off chunks that that they have on discount in the bin over there, and just there's guys that use cutting boards, for a lot of stuff, which is HDP. It works. And don't be afraid to go make your own stuff. You can imagine it. You could do it totally, for sure. And just, of course, we work on, obviously trying to solve problems and issues that we come across. And we're always trying to make products better. But, it's funny is a lot of people say, oh yeah, you should just do this. It'd be easy. Like it's not that easy. Like, in order to solve an issue, it's like, it's easy. Like, I could totally do it, make it one off for myself, like, and solve a problem. Like, yeah, but as far as offering it for like the masses, it's a little different, but like I made a retract bar for my NK300, and one of the issues that we have with our retract bars, they bend, and it's just because that motor's heavy. So changing that up and like progressing and kind of learning and moving. Like, I made a 6 mil thick carbon fiber retract bar for my NK300. Somebody gave me crap about that. That was funny. They said they literally, I posted a picture of it, and I forgot who the guy was. He messaged me. I didn't know, never talked to him before. And he was like, you probably shouldn't like post stuff that fixes a problem for Newport if you work for him. I'm like, why? Like, didn't make sense to me, but I'm like, why? Like, it's not a good look. I'm like, huh? Okay. Well, I'm still my own person. Yeah, it's funny. But maybe he liked it, and I told him, he asked me if I could make one for him, and I told him I don't typically do that very often, but it is what it is.
My Cash App.
Don't get me wrong, it's cool. Like a 6 mil piece of carbon. So it's like, guys know I love carbon fiber stuff, so why not? But
go ahead, Jonathan.
The other thing too is like mounts and whatnot, motors. There's some kayak companies that are building kayaks that build these things as well. Like New Canoe's a prime example. They make a bunch of components that literally bolt onto their kayak too. So like, I mean, if you're not for sure what you want to do and what route you want to go, maybe look at some of the accessories that some of these kayakers sell, kayak companies sell as well. I mean, the new canoe foot control steering for, the Torpedo or the Newport, like that thing's super easy, super clean. It's one of those things you don't even have to drill holes for that thing. It's all bolt-on stuff too. So, I mean, maybe dig more into what people offer for that kayak as well. Like Yak Hobby, he makes a ton of stuff for Old Towns, transition mounts. Like we sold him a kayak, and he's always making stuff. So, and I'm sure if you reached out to him, like he, showed him something, maybe had something, he might be able to help you out. Who knows? But if there's a market for it, I'm sure he'd be all over it too. So, just dig into that kayak that you have and figure out, especially if you're buying one, like look what they have to offer as far as accessories as well. That's not crazy to install.
Let's get to one more question. We'll wrap this thing up. I know we've been going a little over an hour. We don't want to abuse your time. This has been great, very informative. We appreciate y'all. Big Levi. Speaking of big guys in kayaks, my man is 6'10" over here in Arkansas, fishing out of a big PA. Does Romel have any insight on when Newport is going to drop on Expert Boys? I don't know what that is. What does that mean, Romel?
I have absolutely no clue.
Levi, tell us the secret.
Levi.
Maybe I'll have to ask Siri about that. I don't know.
I was going to say, I figured that was like a voice. Yeah. He said, I'm only 255 now. So
I know, but you're still big, man.
You're still 6'10", Levi. You can lose the weight. You can't lose the length, son.
I'm proud of you for 255. Well done, sir. Well done. We don't know what that is, man. Sorry. Expert Voice.
It's a voice-controlled Newport, I think. Probably.
All right. All right. Well, that was the last question I had saved. Gentlemen, what a great show. We appreciate y'all. That was well done.
Awesome. Hopefully we answered most of everyone's inquisitions here tonight, for sure.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add, Ryan, before we let these fellas slide out of here?
I think I'm good, man. I appreciate both of y'all jumping on here and helping folks out, especially, when it comes down to weight distribution and electronics, especially, because I feel like that's where everybody, when they start out, kind of scratch their head on it for sure.
All right. Well, hey, appreciate y'all. I'm sure if folks come back and watch this and they slide any questions on the comments later, I'll try to get them over to y'all. And as always, if you need anything, hit up Eco Fishing. They carry everything we've talked about here tonight. So Jonathan, be glad to help you. There we go.
Absolutely.
There we go. Jonathan, Romel, thank you. They're out of here. That was good, man. That was very informative.
The mad geniuses behind the rigging of the kayaks.
Yeah. So now all that's left, Ryan, is the giveaway.
Pick your hashtag. Pick your poison, Jeff.
You got something for me? Something cool?
I saw Chupacabra in the comments. I like that, to be honest with you.
Holy hell. You think I can spell that?
No one can. That's why I like it. No one's going to win.
I'm going to spell it how I think it's spelled.
Okay.
And that is the hashtag for the night.
There
we go.
I think that was it. I think you nailed it. I've been hunting chupacabras for years, so I recognize that term. And here it goes.
There it goes, the chupacabra. Appreciate y'all hanging in there with us tonight. We had some Canadians that don't give a dang about the debates watching us tonight. Some other folks that know it's probably a waste of time watching us tonight. So we appreciate you spending your time over here and catch the viral clips later.
Yeah, we had some good one hashtag choop choop. There you go, Levi. I think we'll get it. Steven's in there with it. We're doing good. We're doing great.
Yeah, man. All right.
Will we have a repeat winner tonight, do you think?
We could. The numbers are down a little bit, so it ups the odds for the folks that are watching. You got a, 1 in like 30-something chance here of taking this thing home.
Taking this championship home, boys.
Taking this title home, man. Taking this title home. All right, let's hit it. Here we go. Dun, dun, dun. Ooh, Tim Percy's name scrolled by. Diggs. Elvis Lee. Look at that. I was just about to shout out Elvis Lee for winning the adventure. He's the Broodmaster. Or not winning, but he cashed a check in the Broodmaster series up there.
Yep.
So
all right, Elvis, slide in my DMs with some shipping info, and I will get the Z-Man. We have 2 Z-Man prize packs and 2 Cigar prize packs going out.
There we go. All right, man. Good show. We'll do it again next week with Bassmaster, eh?
Let's do it on Monday. You want to try it on Monday again?
Monday.
We'll do it Monday. Monday, Bassmaster and the Tennessee Cast State Championship winner.
There we go. Look forward to it, man.
Let's go.